Can Air Vistara recover from their self-inflicted wounds? Keep watching this video to find out more. At the very outset of this video, I'd like to make it very clear that I am an Air Vistara fan. In 2022 and 2023, I took over 75 flights with them. And even today, I prefer flying with Air Vistara over any other Indian airline. I'm doing this as a fan of Vistara, and I feel they are in a funk because of the merger with Air India. They don't know where they are going to go in the future. And what went wrong in the last couple of weeks? So, unless you've been living under a rock, you would have heard the story about how Air Vistara's schedule was sent for a toss recently when several of their first officers who were upset with new flight duty rules took mass sick leave. This led to hundreds of flights being cancelled over several days and, of course, a lot of passenger anger towards Vistara. The first officers were upset because their flight hours were reduced and they took a huge financial hit. But this was a long time coming, as the new merger with Air India means Tata Sons, which is going to be the majority owner of Air India after the merger, wanted to get a bit of synergy between the flight duty hours on the two airlines. Air Vistara first officers earned a lot more than first officers on Air India. But this merger talk has been going on for a long time. It was supposed to have been completed by now, and it still hasn't happened. Now, it has been over a year since Tata Sons bought Air India from the government of India. It was assumed that Air Vistara and Air India's merger would take about a year after the competition authorities in India and in Singapore approved the merger. In the meantime, Air Vistara has taken delivery of the last planes in their initial order, the A320neos and A321neos, and their last Boeing 787 Dreamliner. That means Air Vistara hasn't really been able to add too many new routes, even though they have bolstered their services out of Bengaluru. But that also means they haven't been able to innovate. Now, the aubergine airline, and like I really call them at times Baiganjet, Baigan being the name for brinjal or aubergine in India, is sort of lost right now. They don't know where they want to go, they don't know where they need to be. And both Tata Sons and Singapore Airlines, the owners of Air Vistara, haven't been doing much as they are trying to repair Air India. This general lack of focus has meant that the airline sort of is plodding along, not innovating with in-flight services or even with what they should be offering their customers with increased routes. Now, of course, they have added some very interesting new routes, such as a new Delhi to Bali flight, which was initially on the A321neo and is now being offered on the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. But I think Vistara finds itself in a funk that they're going to find it very difficult to get out of. And that's a really sad thing. As I said, I am a Vistara loyalist. I'm flying on them again in a couple of weeks' time. I still prefer flying on Vistara, and I want them to get out of this funk. I want them to start concentrating on their services, improving their in-flight services all over again. And Tata Sons has to understand some of Vistara's management is a lot better than the management that is currently in place at Air India. Other things are still pending. For example, despite getting an email from Vistara that the Club Vistara and Air India's frequent flyer program, that is flying returns, will be merged, there's still no clarity of what that will entail. I am a Club Vistara Gold status holder, and I'd like to know what will happen to my miles. I'm still flying on Vistara because I do not want to set up another flying returns card. are actually my Star Alliance points until now I've been collecting on Lufthansa's Miles and More program and happily switch over to Air India's program once I know what will happen to my Vistara miles and how I will get to use them in the future. Also, I find it disappointing that Air India hasn't taken up some of Vistara's innovations in terms of its in flight cabin product. Vistara still has the best seats of any domestic carrier in India. Not only are the seats well padded, better seat pitch, and providing a USB power port, which I did not see on Air India's latest A320 Neos, Vistara also has friendlier cabin crew with better uniforms than on Air India. Now, Air India, of course, has its new A350 planes with the new economy class cabin, but I haven't seen that cabin or the new livery on any of their large domestic fleet of A320 Neos. I think it's very important that Air India communicates with Vistara frequent flyers and Vistara customers on the whole to tell them what is going to happen to the airline. Not just communicate with their employees, that is, cockpit crew, cabin crew, ground crew, and all of that, but also communicate with the frequent flyers because we love Vistara and we'll happily switch over loyalty to Air India once that happens, but we need communication, and that is key.